Today, we're playing Ariel OTK. This is possibly the strongest combo deck Lorcana has ever seen. With multiple ways to win depending on the matchup, we're going to gain lore in insane bursts. The opponent will just have no idea how they lost so fast. Using Ariel and this wide array of items, we can set up for literal one-shots, gaining 20 plus lore in a single turn. Each time we play an item, we can unexert and quest with Ariel again, racking up some insane lore counts. Although Ariel is super weak with only 3 willpower, we can use nothing to hide to look at our opponent's hand and see if they have an answer. If they do, we always have the backup option of Tamatoa. Most decks that can easily clear Ariel have a much harder time dealing with an 8 power questing machine. In the early game, we're going to look at setting up our Popsicle engine and drawing as many cards as we can. To make sure we aren't losing the board too early, we also have some early game units that can just help us control the board. Mother Gothel is great with Popsicles as the initial damage can just be healed straight away. Nick Wild is great at recovering the Popsicles that we've discarded, so then we can either use the new Popsicle to draw more cards or we can use them in our combo later on. The mid game is all about ramping. Our ideal turn 3 is a Fishbone Quill. This lets us get to our Be Prepared in a timely manner so we can slow the pace down until it's time to pop off. Maui is key at controlling tempo at this stage as we're not really going to be needing to quest too much early on. When we combine our other draw engine with Dinner Bell, we can clear the board and also keep up the constant draw power. By the time we hit late game, we should be at a stage where we have the chance to quest for some crazy amounts. If we're not, we still have Tremaines and Scars to keep our opponent's board clear. We're going to use nothing to hide to look at our opponent's hand and make note of anything they have that can clear Ariel. If they have a lot of options, we're just going to go drop a Tamatoa. This guy gets us back more items, is incredibly sticky, and is overall just a massive threat the opponent is going to have to spend all of their resources to clear. Once they've spent everything on Tamatoa, or if they had nothing to begin with, great. It's time to play our Ariel and Maurice. Maurice will draw us a card each time we drop an item. Pass your turn, and proceed to watch your opponent's face as you 100 to 0 them in a single turn. For the mulligan, we're looking for a card draw on turn 1. This is mainly Popsicle that we're looking for. If I already have a Popsicle in my mulligan, I'll keep Haram. But if I don't have a Popsicle but have a Haram, I'll prioritize the Popsicle instead and get rid of the Haram. We're also going to need just some early game characters to make sure we just don't lose the board straight away. The meta is very slow right now, so we can get away with being quite greedy and playing 2 drops. Fishbone Quill is probably the most important card to find in the mulligan, as it's going to allow us to ramp up to our Be Prepared, Maui's, Tremaines and Tamatoas really quickly. Although Ariel is the key card of this deck, I will always get rid of it in the mulligan as we have so much card draw. We will eventually see another one at some point, and it's uninkable and we don't want to play it early anyway. For matchups, against Ruby Amethyst, I'll always try for the Ariel one-shot. Most lists right now aren't running any targeted removal, and we can easily just put 2 characters on the board to protect our Ariel against Lady Tremaines. Ruby Amethyst also has no hand disruption, so once we find our combo, we can get it going pretty fast. We also run one Sword of Truth as a tech card against this deck. This card can clear their Tremaines and Maleficent Dragons, and we can also recycle it with Tamatoa to keep using it. In other matchups, we can just use the Fishbone Quill to ink it. Against Steel decks, we're likely not going to go for the Ariel win condition, and instead we're going to play for a Tamatoa win condition. That's because Steel has a naturally difficult time dealing with beefier cards, and Tamatoa can ramp up extremely quickly. It is important to keep in mind that Ariel can still be an option in these matchups, because the opponent is going to constantly be refilling our hand with a whole new world. Just make sure to use nothing to hide to make sure they're not just holding onto a smash. Against aggro decks, mainly Tiana, you're just going to want to play Fishbone Quill and go into a Maui as soon as possible. That's going to give you enough board control when we combine it with a Shield of Virtue to just keep the board relatively clear and win up from there. If we can get to Be Prepared, we're almost guaranteed a win regardless of the Ariel combo or not. Since Tiana aggro is getting quite popular right now, I've teched in 1 Scar in place of a Be Prepared. If your locals doesn't have any Tiana or you're not expecting to see it, you can just play 4 Be Prepared instead of the Scar. I like it though, as you can just have the options. So this is a deck list for today's games. There's a lot of tech cards in here, so feel free to experiment with it how you want. I'm sure this list will see some adaptation. This list is relatively cheap right now, so if you want to pick it up, I've got a link to Card Market in the description. But other than that, enjoy the games, enjoy some insane combos, and I'll see you in the next one. Okay, so up against Ruby Amethyst. Hopefully I can get a nice little combo in this one. The combo doesn't go off every time, obviously, but when it does, it feels really good. Other than that, you're just kind of playing Popsicles, really. This hand's pretty nice, to be honest. I have Hiram's Popsicles, so I can probably just get rid of everything else. Do you find a lot of uninkables, actually? Maybe I should have kept some other stuff, but this is fine. Against Ruby Amethyst, we can probably get rid of Maui and just play for a Popsicle. Yeah, Mulligan awfully there. I should have just kept some equals just to ink. Yeah, because this is not it. We don't run a lot of uninkables, but I guess it happens when you mulligan badly, so it's my bad. But unfortunately getting rid of an Iron Face there, it's pretty sad. Thankfully, Ruby Amethyst doesn't really do much early game other than draw the cards. And they missed their 1 drop, so yeah. Honestly, we can ink this Corolla and pass. No Quill, which is sad. If we had Quill, we could start inking this Dinner Bell. Yeah, opponent just drawing cards, nothing too crazy here. Thankfully we find an inkable. It is a Maui though, so not the best, but not the worst. We can start drawing our cards. Hopefully we can just, you know, get on a steady track from here on out, which looks like we will be able to. Opponent is probably going to have a Maui to answer this Haram, which is quite sad. It's just like the natural counter, really. But we do find some popsicles, so honestly we could start with an Ariel. Just go straight for Ariel. Ink, let it go. Play quite aggressive here, actually, if we want. Yeah, and then we can just pass here. Then we can even just drop a second Ariel here. It's not the worst thing in the world. Ruby Amethyst is quite slow, and they're not really getting to 7 ink relatively soon anyway. Like I say, they're just drawing a load of cards, which is just typically what Ruby Amethyst does. So yeah, if we just go double Ariel here, we might be in a really good spot. Quest with Ariel, play Popsicle, ready Ariel, quest again. Then we can Haram away as Popsicle, draw some cards. Hopefully we can find an Eye of Fates here, that'd be really good. Or even just anything to ink would be good. Find Popsicle, find Maurice. So honestly, if I just get rid of Haram here, I'm feeling pretty good. And then next turn I can go Maurice. They are kind of closing in to be prepared though, so if I just pass it. Shame we had to ink Eye of Fate so early, because Eye of Fates would have been great here. Yep, Maui hits into our Haram, and I'm not gonna go all in here because they almost definitely have a Be Prepared. But they just use a Diabolical Scheme, which is crazy. Like, who plays this? But I guess they do, so. Okay, cool, so we can use Nothing to Hide here. So yeah, they do have a Tremaine and a Be Prepared, so they do have Be Prepared, something to just keep in mind. So I can just go, I can quest, Popsicle, the Ariel, quest, drop a shield, ready Ariel, and then I can ink this Cruella and just go for a Nick, and then finds me another Popsicle. Just playing quite aggressive with the Ariel here. I want them to be prepared here, because if to be prepared and we find another Ariel, we could just go again. They have already got rid of an Ariel, it's important to keep in mind, so we do only have one left in deck, so it's like a 1 in 39 chance that we find it here, at least off of the top deck. So unlikely we'll find it. So if they be prepared us here, then we're not in the best situation ever. But at the same time, we can still just kind of get some more lore in, because we have the Tremaine protection with the snake. So it's not the worst thing in the world. If I found a Quill on turn 3 of this game, I would be in a great spot, because I would be ramped up and I would be ready to go. They're going to have a second Diabolical Scheme. I don't know why they're playing that card in this deck. It doesn't seem to like do anything, but sure. But hopefully Errors just bought us enough tempo where they've used all their removal on the Ariels. So honestly, we can probably just I would like to play Maurice here, but I know that they're just gonna use Be Prepared if I do that. But actually, that's fine. So Maurice can draw some cards here, and then Popsicle's gonna draw us another one. And then we do have Nothing to Hide, but I kind of at this point can just assume that they already have everything. But so I will just go ahead and ink it. And then pass. And then next time what I can do is I can just Maui hit into something, and then Dinner Bell to draw some cards. No, I won't, because I haven't got nothing for that. But yeah, something you can keep in mind. It's quite expensive, but if you can do this with Maui Dinnerbell, or even if you can do like Goffle with Dinnerbell, it's a really good way to draw some cards. Tremaining the Nick is fine here. The opponent is really holding on to this Be Prepared, so they really don't want to use it. Okay, so cool. So we find Quill, so what we can do is we can quest with Maurice, and then this makes Quill cost 1. And then it's going to draw us another card. Find a second Dinnerbell, so we can just go ahead and Quill this, honestly. And then, I'm thinking if I want to Be Prepared. Be Prepared isn't even the worst thing in the world. I do have a Popsicle in the bin, so I can just go Nick. And then just draw a bunch with this Popsicle. Do you find a Goffle? So I am going to ink this Maui. Do I need to? Sure, I will ink this Maui. And then play an Eye of Fates. So the Ariel kind of idea is kind of dead. So now we're just playing for Tamatoa. So I just need to go find a Tamatoa. Should be good. What we can do is we can play like Goffle. And then Dinnerbell the Goffle to draw 3 cards. Which is an okay draw engine. We still do have Be Prepared. So if the opponent plays another character here, it might be worth just using Be Prepared. They're going to use Spellbook. We don't run Judy Hopps in this deck, so Spellbook is going to stick. But honestly, if opponent's running low on cards, I know they've got 1 Be Prepared, so I think I might just quest Be Prepared here. Yeah, if I quest Be Prepared here, and then I can drop a Goffle. And then we can set up for our Dinnerbell next turn. Or we could even Dinnerbell now, actually, if we inked. Sure, I'm going to ink Cruella. It might be bad to ink Cruella here because they still have minis, but because they've inked a mini, I'm pretty fine. So we'll go ahead and play Dinnerbell. Now, if I can get a Tamatoa, Tamatoa's going to be questing for 8. And the opponent's not used Be Prepared yet. They've not used too much removal. They're down 2 Diabolical Schemes, which I'm assuming is all they play, and 1 Tremaine. So all I need to play is like a Tamatoa and then just a cheap unit to bodyguard it from Tremaines, and we should be good. They're going to go for Ursula. Hopefully they play nothing else, and then I can just Tremaine it. And then we can go into our kind of late game kind of control style here. Cool, so we definitely Tremaine here. And then I'm going to go Goffle as Tremaine protection. But I'm not going to Dinnerbell. As much as I'd like to Dinnerbell and draw cards here. Oh, actually I can. Because I can just play a second Goffle. So we do find Tamatoa, we do find Nick. So this is actually not bad at all. So honestly I can get rid of Nick. I'm not going to need it at this point. Could even get rid of Maurice actually. Might have been better. And then we play Goffle for Tremaine protection. And then hopefully we force a Be Prepared from the opponent. And then we just drop a Tamatoa. Maleficent is fine too. So honestly, I'm just going to play a Tremaine again. I just really want the opponent to use Be Prepared here, so then our Tamatoa is relatively safe on the board. So as you can see, I've kind of transitioned from like an early game, kind of just squeaking in a lower account with Ariel, to like late game Tamatoa. Can go Tremaine here. And if we can find Sword of Truth, then the Tamatoa Sword of Truth combo is really going to go off, because it's going to clear their Tremaines and their Maleficents, and they're even playing cards that banishes their own villains, so that tells us that they have a lot. Even these like other like draw Maleficents, Madam Mims, and even Ursula is a villain, so we're just going to be hitting everything. What can we do here? We can Maurice is a bit too much for me, so I am going to just play a Popsicle. Draw a card, find a second, Be Prepared, really nice. And then remember to always use your Eye of Fates, although they might have Rush. Which is actually fine, because I can just ready it back up with the shield, actually. Quest for 2. Shield this, and then I could Dinnerbell, but I think if I just Dinnerbell, then they just Tremaine instead of Be Prepared, and I really want them to use Be Prepared here, so I can safely go into Tamatoa. Nice. Nothing to hide here would be really good, so then I could see if my Tamatoa is safe. They go for a mini. I'm going to play Maurice to bait out one of the Tremaines. Or even Haram is actually really good. Go Haram, get rid of this Popsicle. Making sure I don't misclick the wrong item because I've got so many at the moment. Goffle for Tremaine protection is good. And then even I could just Maurice. Yeah, I think I want to see them be prepared. Because if they be prepared, then we're in a pretty good spot. And also this just looks so threatening right now. Even though it's not the most threatening thing in the world. But I just want to see be prepared. Because it clears this mini. And then I know they have one more Tremaine in hand. There's Maleficent. So Tamatoa is very safe now. They definitely don't have a be prepared. And if they have Tremaine, we don't care. Because we have so much stuff. Careful not to go into lethal territory here. So they're questing for 5 on board to 18. So if I go... Yeah, if I go let it go on this Maleficent so they can't bounce it. And then honestly I ink one of these let it goes. Well, actually if I quest with her on first. And then get rid of a Popsicle. And then we can find something better to ink. Yeah, but this Quill is fine to ink. Or even the Scar could be fine. Yeah, if I just Quill Scar actually, I think I prefer that. And then we drop Tamatoa. Tamatoa finds us a Popsicle. We can ink this Quill. Play out a Popsicle. And we do find Ariel. Ariel's not really going to be doing anything at this stage in the game. I did miss one lore. Actually, if I... Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and do this. This is pretty solid, right? So now if Tamatoa, if they leave Tamatoa up and clear everything else, then we just win. Opponent is going to need a miracle here though. They're in down 1 be prepared to be fair, so they could find a be prepared, which it looks like they are going to. So if they play be prepared off of this card, then that means they just drew off the Maleficent, which is going to be absolutely devastating. Okay, they found it off of the 1 card. That is so upsetting for us. Oh my goodness. But we can go Goffle, draw 3. Okay, not the worst thing in the world. We could just go Maurice Ariel, force them to have another be prepared. And then this looks a lot scarier than it actually is, to be honest. Because we have used so many items at this point, the Ariel isn't really going to be questing for a lot. But we might be able to just squeak out enough. Like, I think if we can find like a Nick and recover a Popsicle, then we're pretty good. The fact they're drawing cards is a good sign for us. They do find Maleficent, which is killing the Ariel, but like I say, this is just a false threat at this point. But we are still in a very sticky situation here. So I can actually... Okay, I missed one again with the Eye of Fates. You have to really keep in mind that you need to do the Eye of Fates. Then we can play Sword of Truth and just draw us an extra card. We can use this on the Maleficent. And then if we find Tamatoa, we can just recycle them. Although I'm not sure how many Tamatoas we had left. Yeah, we have quite a few. So we can use nothing to hide. Okay, so they've got a go at Tremaine. So if we Tamatoa here, it should just be lethal. And they can also get us back some Popsicles. Do find a Nick as well, so we can honestly just we actually probably want to hold the Quill, and then we can Quill away a Be Prepared and get rid of a Quill just from ink, and then we can go for Nick. Nick's gonna find us Popsicle, and that should be enough for game, unless they top deck just to win, which would be crazy. But yeah, Tamatoa questing for 9, it's going to be questing for 10 and drawing cards here. Questing for 11 with IF8s actually. IF8s, you have to really make sure you're not missing this card. It's very important. I would be very much a lot closer to lethal. I don't think it would have changed anything this game, but you can definitely miss lethal with it. If the opponent draws the win off of this Maleficent again, I'm going to be quite upset. It looks like they might have. So they really need to draw the card here. I feel like we would have been quite unlucky if they found it. It looks like they have. Wow. Okay, so devastating loss there, but it happens. Hopefully this was a good showcase of the deck though. Okay, so we're against Amethyst Steel, so this could be Tiana aggro, but this also could just be hard control. I honestly prefer it to be control here, but I'm pretty fine against either, to be honest. I have Popsicle, Goffle, Hiram, Nick, so this is pretty good, honestly. I can get rid of Tremaine and get rid of this Cruella, because I don't think they have any evasives here. Get rid of one of the Nicks. Be Prepared is good, and Quill is fantastic. So if we find a Maui here and we're against aggro, we should honestly be really solid. So they get rid of a Fox. So yeah, this is really good. I can just get rid of Cruella here, so I don't think they have any evasives. We can drop a Popsicle and just start drawing cards straight away. So we find one Nothing to Hide. This is a combo piece, but you can use it at any point really and just make a note and then kind of take educated guesses. Find a Shield of Virtue. Again, this is just fine. Do I want to keep this shield? I can probably ink it, right? Yeah, if I ink shield here and just go for... Go for a Goffle, just kind of get something on the board. If they spend a card to clear it, that's totally fine. The one thing you have to keep in mind against Steel is that they have like smashes and stuff, so it might be worth going for a Tamatoa line instead, because they haven't really got anything to deal with Tamatoas. And also this deck kind of does just play like typical like Tamatoa Popsicle. Okay, opponent is going to play a Tinkerbell, so I'm expecting a shift. So what I am going to do is I am going to use the Popsicle just to heal this Goffle. And then I'm going to ink one of these Nothing to Hides to get Quill. And then I am going to get rid of a Haram with the Quill, which doesn't feel too good, but it should be fine. Then we can drop a Popsicle, draw a card. So if we're looking pretty good, honestly. If they shift here, we can just Tremaine it, and then we're in a pretty good spot. And then we can just go for our card draw later on. But it doesn't look like it's aggro at all. It looks like it's control, which means we are likely just going to be wanting to go for Tamatoa here. Yeah, we do find Ariel pretty early on, which could work, honestly. But I think I will just prioritize card draw. You can go for like quite an early Ariel against Steel. It does bait out a lot of their stuff. But I think I just want to get some card draw going here. I don't want to fall too far behind in that like hand advantage. We can definitely quill this Scar. And then because we've quilled, I'm actually not too stressed about inking. We do want to get to Tamatoa as soon as possible though, so if I go Nick... yeah, so I think next turn, if I just go Ariel, that's fine. Yeah, if I go Ariel next turn, then that'd be fine, because then that kind of baits out some removal, and then I can safely just go into Nick, get back a Popsicle, and just draw some cards and kind of ramp to this Tamatoa pretty quickly. Right now, I think Ariel is like a super secret card, right? So no one is going to be playing around Ariel, and as soon as they see it, they're going to just like mega panic. But yeah, so the same thing with like kind of the control decks with Ruby Amethyst. They're going to spend a lot of their early game just drawing cards, which is when like you're the weakest. You can tech in some like Teeth and Ambitions and stuff like that, but I really just couldn't find room. But I think if you really wanted to, you could find the space. So I think here, honestly, just inking this... Well, I probably should just Fishbone this, let it go so they don't see what I'm inking. And then dropping an Ariel here seems pretty solid. And then, yeah, I'm going to get rid of this Fishbone Quill. No, I'm not. Okay, so I was thinking if I quest, get rid of the Fishbone Quill, I can see some more cards. But if I don't do that, I can just drop Tamatoa next turn, and that's so much tempo. And that gets us back Popsicles as well, if they don't clear this Ariel. But realistically, they should be clearing this Ariel here, because it's like an unknown threat, right? It could quest for like an unknown amount. Obviously, it's not going to win me the game right here. It's way too early. But it can squeeze in just like 5 lore now would be great. But 5 might also be a bit too much based on my current hand. But maybe using the Popsicle early on this Goffle was a misplay. just because I could have drawn some cards with Haram and got an ink here. But, you know, it should be fine. So my next turn is pretty interesting. So I can go for either like Be Prepared, Tremaine, or Tamatoa, or I can even try for some like aerial combos. So there's a lot of decisions to be made, and I will say I'm definitely, in these games, I definitely will not be playing anywhere near optimally, but the deck is still very new, and I think if you can master this deck, then you can probably win a lot of games that you shouldn't win. Because it does just play like typical Popsicle Tamatoa, but instead of going for like a stally late game that you just lose to Ruby Amethyst anyway, you just have this like absolute nuke, which you can scout out if they're going to be able to kill or not. And if they can kill it, then you just bait out the stuff with other stuff. Cool, so Storm Rage on, doing 2 damage to Haram actually. So they're not worried about the aerial, which honestly at this point I wouldn't be either. But we should be able to get some... Oh, okay, so they have a Yzma, which is probably just going to shuffle back in. Okay, they're going to draw themselves some cards. So this is fine here. Find a Tremaine, which is good. So I can just go for Nick, get a Popsicle back. And then we can quest with Ariel. Play our Popsicle. Ready Ariel, find a second Haram, which is good. Quest with Haram. Get rid of the Popsicle that we just played. Draw some cards. Find a second Tamatoa, so I am actually just going to ink this Cruella. Yeah, okay, so this is fine by me. So Ariel gets 1 and then safely, you know, gets back up. I'm going to attack into this. I kind of want them to play some big stuff here, so then I can just be prepared into just double Tamatoa. Seems pretty solid to me. I might even quest for an extra one with this Ariel, but I think leaving it just unexerted is fine for now. Like I say, Steel needs to target remove it, and Amethyst has like no removal other than this Yzma. And if the Yzma are it and draw us cards, that's fine, because we can just go back into our other game plan of Tamatoa, which, like I say, against Steel, you're going to want to play Tamatoa anyway, because it just is better and more consistent than the Ariel here. But yeah, I think just so far, this is just a really good showcase of just how slow the meta has gotten, and you can really get away with being just mega greedy with this Ariel. Obviously, like I say, you do need to have a lot of cards to do the combo, but it's a really solid backup late game for this deck, where it normally just loses to other control decks, because you rely so heavily on Tamatoa. Okay, so shifting into Tink here is good. I think, honestly, I'm kind of happy to just be prep here. I could even just go Tamatoa, actually. Because if I go Tamatoa, I can start just... Okay, cool, so grab is fine. Yeah, so I'm definitely going to be prepared here. No reason not to, really. Even like a top deck Scar would actually be pretty good. Yeah, so your opponent only has like 5 cards in hand, so we're kind of good on card advantage. They're playing like another card to get rid of the Quill, which, you know, is fine. Tamatoa is going to recover our Popsicles anyway. Cool, so we're just gonna, what are we doing? Just be prepared at this and pass. Sounds good to me. We're not gonna ink, unfortunately. We did miss ink with the Dinner Bell. The Dinner Bell's kind of, yeah, I'm iffy on the Dinner Bell, I'll be honest. I'm not sure if the Dinner Bell's worth it. You can get some really good card draw with, like, you know, like a damaged Tamatoa. It works well with Scar, and it works well with the Gothel, but I don't know. Okay, they are just going to play Ursula. If they don't drop a 1 cost... Okay, they do drop a 1 cost. I'm going to say, if they don't drop a 1 cost, I can just go for a Tremaine, but they do. 3 Tamatoas, I can get rid of 1. I don't like getting rid of 1, but I will. And I'll get this Tamatoa Popsicle. Hopefully they haven't just got an Yzma in hand. If they do, then we're going to be in desperate need of another Be Prepared. Okay, they're drawing, so that tells me that they probably don't have it. If they ink and found it, then good for them, but I don't think that they will. They find Beast. Which is fine. They are questing for like a slight amount, but we should be fine. We can just start clearing their stuff here as well. We do have like double Tremaine, which can clear the Beast. So we can definitely get rid of Cruella, but probably best to play the Popsicle first. Find a Quill. I'm going to play her on first, actually, just to see my card draw. Quill's good. We can just ink the Dinner Belt with that. do find an Ariel actually, which is pretty good. So if I play Cruella here, we don't have a card to scout. Yeah, so we don't have nothing to scout here, but if we drop Ariel and then quest with this and pull back a Popsicle, then yeah, this isn't bad. They haven't really got much to deal with it. They haven't got much to deal with Tamatoa, but they could have like a smash or something to deal with Ariel. But if they're dealing with Ariel, they're not dealing with Tamatoa, and if they're dealing with Tamatoa, they're not dealing with Ariel. So we're in a pretty good spot to honestly just like really pop off here, because even if we drop a second Tamatoa, we're doing good. That means we're recycling 2 Popsicles turn. And then they're going to use double grab sword on Ariel, which is fine. Slows them down quite a lot. And then they're going to just trade everything into the Tamatoa, which is fine, because we can just do it again, right? We've got another Tamatoa, and we can definitely find another Ariel. So I'm not too stressed. I would like to find a Be Prepared, but I'm not too worried. And if I can Dinner Bell her arm for like 1,000,000 cards, then we're doing pretty good in the card advantage department as well. So yeah, there's all their cards gone on the board. And then we just drop a second Tamatoa, and then Tamatoa should kind of just ramp us to victory here. We can even just go double Tremaine actually. I kind of like double Tremaine here. Stops their card advantage. So I'm going to play a really slow turn here and just play Tremaine. Always important to note, for 10 ink you can shift your Tremaine into the same thing, and it clears both of your cards. So quite a slow turn just to reset after they've cleared our board. And then we can just drop a big Tamatoa again, and then we should just draw into another Ariel, which will allow us to do the combo. But yeah, so we're on board control, we've got hand advantage, we're feeling pretty good. And then I am down 2 Ariel, so I've got 1 left in deck, so I might not find it. But like I say, against Steel, you're just going to be using your Tamatoa anyway. Opponent is down 3 grabs, so our Ariel is relatively safe actually. So I can just go Tamatoa, pull back a Popsicle, play a Popsicle, find our Ariel, which is great. So I actually don't want to play anything else here. I will quest with Tremaine just to see if maybe they don't. But they shouldn't have anything. I think they've inked a smash, they've played a smash, they've got rid of 3 grabs, and there's 1 Storm Rage on gone. And they've inked a tank, played a big tank, so Ariel should be kind of safe here. And if they quest, we can just clear their stuff. Okay, they're not even questing, they're singing, which is like even better for us. Yes, I think next turn, if I just go like Ariel, Haram is pretty good. And then quest with Tamatoa to pull back the Popsicle that we get rid of from the Haram, or they're just going to Benja it, which is fine as well. But I don't imagine they have too much resources. Yeah, so they've played all of that. Honestly, if we just use Tremaine and sing Let It Go on this beast, stop their card draw, play Ariel, play a Popsicle, draw a card, find Maurice, which is great. Okay, cool. So what I am actually going to do is I'm going to ink this Quill. Go for Maurice. What Maurice is going to do is going to draw us a card every time we play an item. So now we can use our Tamatoa, pull back a Popsicle. And then next turn we are going to play Popsicle. We're going to draw 2 cards. Ariel's going to quest. Tamatoa is going to get back her Popsicle after I use probably the Haram to discard it to draw more cards. And then we just have some like filler tech items just to deal with other matchups, but we can just use them to just, you know, mainly reset the Ariel. With Sword of Truth, you normally ink this with Fishbone Quill, but in this matchup we're not going to. Opponent's drawing cards, they're just desperately looking for an answer for this Ariel. But like I say, again, if they're dealing with the Ariel, they're not dealing with the Tamatoa and vice versa. And this whole time they're not questing, and we're just getting later and later, and our threats are getting like more scary basically. Although this is our final Tamatoa and our final Ariel, so if they can deal with this, then we're in quite a dire situation. But I think the opponent is like definitely running out of resources, right? They, like I say, down 2 smash, down 3 grab. So this Ariel should stick. Tamatoa is definitely going to stick. They have to Yzma it, which doesn't actually clear it really. It just draws me more cards. And I can find it at a later time. But the opponent definitely just weighing out their options here, seeing what they can do to clear this board. Okay, looks like they're going to play the Elsa. which if they stun the Ariel, we can just ready it with one item anyway. So they're going to get rid of Tamatoa and Ariel, which is fine. Like I say, they should hit into this area, right? No, they're going to quest, which I'm not sure I'm a massive fan of, to be honest, but that's fine. Over to us now, we find Maui. So I'm definitely just going to use a Popsicle. And then it's going to draw us a card. Ariel's going to ready, and then Popsicle's going to draw us another card. So we could even be prepared if we want, but I don't think I want to. I'm going to quest with Morris. Now my items also cost 2 less. So I can play Dinner Bell. I didn't quest with Ariel, so well, make sure you're always questing with this Ariel. Oops. And then I can once again sing Let It Go. And then have reconnect issues. And then I'm just going to marry this goat, honestly. Makes it quite tricky for our opponent to deal with. We've got 3 items on the board. And then I can just Dinner Bell this Maui and draw 4 cards. Find another Popsicle, which I'm going to play. It's going to draw me another card. Ariel's going to ready, and Popsicle's going to draw me yet another card. So I'll ink this Quill. Quest with Ariel again. Play another Popsicle, draw another card. Ariel readies, Popsicle draws me another card. And then as you can see, I've got all these cards in hand. Ariel is still ready, so they're not going to be able to trade it. And the Tamatoa is now questing for 6. So it's kind of just lethal on board. You don't need to do the one shot, but if you find Eye of Fates and combos all the Eye of Fates here, then yeah, it's really solid. Also, I really apologize for this invalid deck. I disconnected here, but I think this game is a really good showcase. Win or lose here, to be honest. So opponent's going to play a rabbit to draw a card. Doesn't seem like the opponent's got it, so there's the victory. Hopefully I really showcased how solid it can be and very consistent, and you don't need the one shots. But yeah.